I'm Catherine from Leicestershire Craft Centre in Market Harborough. Today I'm going to show you how to make a Japanese origami folded paper flower. This is a lovely easy make that you can do at home with materials that you've just got around the house. So nothing special needed at all. You can see my examples. I have made, this one I've made out of old books. And this one here I've made out of old maps, and you can use all different kinds of paper. Music sheets work really well, old books do. Just simple cartridge paper out of your printer will be absolutely fine. Things like wallpaper, possibly a little bit thick, you would need to make quite a large flower. Obviously the size of your paper will determine the size of your finished flower. So I would have a go with thinner paper first, before you work your way up to something thicker. Other things that work well are seed catalogues that come through your door, clothes catalogues, the Sunday supplements, they're quite nice. Newspapers probably a little bit too thin, but if that's what you've got, have a go, just to see what it's like and have some fun. So apart from your paper, I've got some books pages today, and you will need 5 sheets of paper to make your flower. You will also need just a plain simple ordinary glue stick, plain ordinary pair of scissors, and then something like a little doweling rod or a bamboo skewer that you've got for the barbecue, something like that to stick your flower on at the end. You could, failing that, a garden cane or even a very tightly rolled piece of paper would work too. And then optional extras are buttons. If you wish, you can put a button in the centre of your flower to finish off. And you need something to help you fold, to keep your folds really sharp. I've got a folding tool, a bone tool, but I appreciate that lots of people won't have one of those knocking about. So something like a ruler will work, or just to score the paper really well with your nails, or you can even use the blade of your scissors just to get those folds very sharp. You will get a better result. Okay, so you can see that our flower has got 5 petals to make, and I'm going to show you how to make the first petal. So if you get your piece of paper, we have to turn our paper into a square. Just going to trim off the edge where I've torn it out of the book, nice and straight. And then to turn it into a square, you're going to fold the corner up to the opposite edge, line it up carefully. Okay, so you can see it's folded down like that, and then we're going to cut off this excess here so that we've got a nice perfect square shape. Okay, so you can see now that's made a square. You actually want to start with your petal, with your square, folded into a half triangle like this. And when you've made the fold, line it up really carefully, and then you can press really hard like this. I'm going to use my little tool, or as I say, blade of your scissors will work. Just something to get it really, really nice and flat. The first thing we're going to do then is take our corners up to the central point at the top. We're going to fold one up like that, and then the second one up like that. Press them down. So you can see these corners have folded up nice and carefully. They should meet in the middle, and you have made yourself a smaller square. Then the next job is you're going to take the corner, put your finger inside and open it up, fold it back, open it up, and you're going to press it flat So that central fold is now in the centre, and you've turned that triangle into a kite shape. I'm going to do the same on the other side. If you put your finger inside, that helps you to keep it nice and flat. Open it back, and this central fold will press flat. Okay, and we've got two kites shapes with a central triangle. Now we're going to take these little bits that are sticking up and fold them back so that they are in line with the edges of your square. So they are folded down like so. Lovely. And then we're going to fold our triangles back in half again along that central fold that you originally made. So it's going to become a square again. I'm going to press them all lovely and flat at this stage. Okay, so we should have those triangles folded back in on themselves like so. So you're back into a square. Right, we're going to stick our petal together. We're going to put a little glue down this edge. Don't cover the whole of the triangle, because if you stick the whole bit together, you won't get that lovely central folded bit showing on your petals. So you just need a very small amount of glue down one edge. Okay. And you're not going to cross them over or fold them over, you're just going to put those edges together like so. Now, glue sticks like this, they are pretty strong, they will hold, but sometimes you will need to give them a little bit of a hold for a few seconds. When I do this activity with children who are always a little bit impatient and say, oh, my glue stick's not worked, I always tell them to hold it for 10. Squeeze it together and hold it for 10 seconds, and then it will have held in place, and you can see that central part of the petal looking lovely there. So that's our first petal. Okay, I'm going to go through that and show you again in a little bit of a close-up so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. So let's show you how to make that petal again. First of all, let's just tidy up my book page where I've torn it out of the book. Lots of people don't like using books. They think it's wrong to tear them up. But there are so many books in the charity shops, and I can tell you that lots and lots get sent to landfill because pages have come out, they can't be resold, or they're out of date, encyclopedias and dictionaries and things like that. So to use them up in a project like this is actually a good thing. It's saving it from landfill. Okay, so we folded the corner up, trimmed it off so that we've got our nice square. And we're going to keep that like that into a triangle, ready to make our petal. We're going to take the bottom corners up to the top and press it nicely, nice and firmly, and the same on the other side. Okay, so it looks like that. Okay. Then one finger inside, pull it back and press it nice and flat. So that first fold will now be in the centre of your kite shape. And what you've done on the first side, you're going to do on the second side. So we now have our kite shape. Okay, fold these edges in so that they're in line with the edges. We should be looking something like this. And then fold back in along that original fold. Obviously it's folding it back in a different direction, but if you've got it nice and sharp in the first place, then it will work well. Let's get everything lovely and flat. And then a little bit of glue down one side. And we're just going to take those edges so that they meet. Line them up, give it a little press. Okay, and they will hold together nicely. Books work very well, especially older books, because they are a little bit absorbent and they absorb the glue and just hold together very nicely. I'm going to show you how to do the petal one more time. We do actually need 5 in total. I'll go through it one more time nice and slowly, and then I think you'll be good to go on the last 2 by yourself. So we've turned it into a square and folded it down into a triangle. Take the corners up to the top on both sides. Make sure that's lined up nicely. Okay, and press those folds nice and flat. One finger inside, pull it back and press it flat again into a kite shape. Oops, my board's getting a little bit sticky. And same on the other side. Superb. Right, fold these down. See, you're getting the hang of it now, aren't you? And fold those triangles back in. Lovely. Little bit of glue on the edge. And press it together. And hopefully you should see how these are starting to come together into your flower shape. Right, so we've just got 2 more petals to make. I've already made my squares, so we're going to just start putting those together. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and what I do and crafting and why it's good for you. So I've had the craft centre for 8 years now, and I teach all kinds of people to sew and crochet and make jewellery, and we have lovely tutors come in our craft centre that do things like painting and silversmithing, willow weaving and all kinds of fantastic creative things, because craft's really therapeutic. It's really good for your mental health and your well-being. While you are making something, your hands are busy and your mind is occupied, and you don't have time to think and dwell on those things that are maybe bothering you or upsetting you or worrying you. It takes you out of yourself, and it just gives you a little bit of space and a little bit of time to just be. And making something is a very satisfying process. And there are so many ways to be creative. You don't necessarily have to be a artistic person. You know, painting might not be your thing. It might be gardening, or it might be baking, or it might be doing DIY, you know, or carpentry. But something that involves making and creating has been shown, it's been proven in scientific studies and more that it's a really good thing to be able to do. I mean, in the past, everybody had to make things. We had no choice. You had to make your own clothes, and so it was done out of necessity. But today, we are fortunate enough that we can do these things for pleasure, out of choice, and get that satisfaction from it. Okay, so I've nearly finished my 5th petal. So I would encourage everybody, just have a go, just to try something out, see what you think. You might hate it, but you also might find something that you really like doing and gives you a creative outlet that you didn't have before. We'll just stick this little bit together, and here we go. Right, so we have got 5 lovely petals, and now I'm going to show you how to put them together into your flower. Hopefully they're all stuck nicely. Right, I've got slightly sticky fingers, so just rub that off, because your fingers are useful for this bit, holding it all together. You're going to get your glue stick. You're going to put your glue down one small edge of your petal. We don't want to cover too much with glue, else you'll find that your petals won't go all the way round. They'll stick too much together. So we'll pop a little glue along one edge, one finger inside, and then take your next petal and we're just going to touch it together like that so it sticks. There we go. And I would recommend putting a couple of fingers in like that, just to hold it so that it starts to bond together. Okay, and then we're going to do the same with the next one. Nice and carefully. Of course, you could make more petals and make a larger flower, stick them together. So, squish them up a little bit more to put them in. You can make out of these petals, if you make enough, and I believe it's about 40. If you make 40 petals, you can stick them all together and they will make a ball. But I can't say I've ever had the time and patience to make that many. But if you fancy it, it will be out there on the old internet to show you what to do. So there's 3 together. Okay. And what I'm going to suggest is that we put the other 2 together in a separate little 2, and then we're going to glue our stick in between, and it'll all get in together. Put it all together in one go. So we've got a 3 and a 2. I'm going to prep these ready to stick all together by putting a lot of glue on the edges of this pair of petals. So we'll put lots on there, and then we're going to get our stick, and I'm going to put lots of glue on the stick as well. If you have a hot glue gun, that's actually really useful for this part of the project. But don't worry if you haven't. You just need a little bit of time and patience, and your glue stick will work just as well. Right, so we're very carefully going to lift up our 3 petals. I tend to put a finger in each just to keep it all together. And then we're going to stick our stick on top. And then we're going to take our last 2 petals and stick them on as well, so that the stick is in the center. Whoops. Let's just do that again. Okay, squeeze that together and then squeeze that one in place on top. Okay, that's it. See, it doesn't always go right first time. Okay, so you can see that that's gone round your stick and it is holding fairly well. And I find the best way to let them dry is to pop them on their ends like that. And when that has dried, you can add, if you like, a little button, or if you haven't got a button, you could cut out a square, a little circle of pretty fabric, and we'll stick that on as well. I probably wouldn't normally do this straight away, just because everything's still a little bit delicate, but just for the purposes of the demonstration, I will put it on. Lots of glue on there as well. Okay, and pop that in the centre, nice and carefully. So there you go, one folded Japanese origami flower. You could make a few of them. They work really nicely as gifts and presents. My dad, who's loves music, I made him a bunch out of music sheets and he has them sat on his piano. So they're lovely gifts for men or women. If you've got children, why not have a go at doing it with them? Show them what to do. They usually put us all to shame and turn out to be brilliant at these things. But it's a nice activity and restful, and I hope you've enjoyed having a go, and happy crafting.